Hello and welcome to The Podcast Is Mine. I'm Sunny Gruel.
And I'm Bhushan Kumar.
Hi, Bhushan.
Hey, Sunny. How's it going? Even though I just saw you like a minute ago.
I was going to say we've just had a quick refresh and lap around the course and we're ready for episode 2 of season 3.
Yes, I know we are making headway. And so you may have, if you haven't already, please do go and watch part 1 of this. This is a 2-parter
Yes,
we're doing.
watch or listen.
Watch or listen,
You want
yes.
to do both.
Yes, exactly. Why don't you watch first and then you can listen on your commute or listen at work.
Freeze frame, send us awkward shots of our faces as we react to things.
I know that's the thing with the video thing now. Like, there's nowhere to hide, and we are going to be getting Pat McGrath to do our makeup going forward because we need it. But
no, you don't.
No, we don't. So I think it's time for the secret diary of the Zone 1 Ho.
Okay.
So let's get her. So it's my Face ID today. So
yes, open it up.
And if you could do the sound effect for me, and then oh, there it is. Yeah, as you know, our face cards never
have not changed.
They do not decline. So today in the Secret Diary of Zone 1 Ho, so we're sticking with our travel theme. So to recap, Sunny, you went on a sabbatical.
I took a year out and I travelled around the world in 361 days. Or haze. 361
exactly.
Haze.
Mm-hmm. And so as part of that, so one of the big things that both of us like to do, we bond over when we travel, is shopping. We adore shopping.
You are the fashionista of the group and of
Me?
all
Am I
groups.
fashionista?
I mean, look at this t-shirt. Can we please just take a moment to appreciate?
Oh, thank you. This is from the Naomi exhibition at the V&A, which is concluded in April 2025. We went to it, obviously, didn't we?
We did when I came back.
When you came back. It's the first thing I made you do.
Yeah, you were like,
right, we're going to this exhibition. You need to see it.
It was a great choice. I loved it. I had a great moment.
And we did the runway as well.
We've got the video footage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I don't know if we were going to share that because
you inspired someone else to do it as well, if you remember.
I inspire a lot of people.
You do. You inspire everyone around you.
I'm an inspiration.
To be better.
But do you know, I remember when you were on your travels and you were, particularly when you were in Japan, and you were sending me shopping
videos constantly.
Tell me about the shopping in Japan.
You know what? There were so many times remember it was a bit of a thing where I would just to be funny, send you a photo of Zara across the world. It was actually around the world in 80 Zaras, I think. And then obviously showing you different things that I thought was intriguing and interesting from a fashion perspective. And when I got into Asia, Japan really stuck out because they have such incredible quality vintage and used clothes. And it's something that I'd never really been that kind of interested in. I'm very used to going to high street stores and just being like generic and happy with my purchases. But then going to Japan and seeing them, I think what was helpful is it was because they are so organized and neat and tidy that the clothes are presented in a way that makes it feel like it's just a regular branded store. So I would go into some stores and think, oh, what brand is this? I need to remember.
Yeah.
And I was like, but wait a minute, there's only one of every item. It's clearly not. So that stuck out in Japan. And there were so many of those places where I bought loads of incredible vintage jeans or t-shirts, and the quality. I know everyone says this back in the day.
Yeah.
It was so much better. And it was a very clear, you didn't need to worry about prices. It was always the same price for jeans, always the same price for shirts and t-shirts. But the other place that I really loved for shopping is China.
Oh, wow.
We talked about that as well. I sent you a video clip of one of these department stores, and it was recommended to me by a local. I went on a food tour, but it was only me and him. He's like, the other two have cancelled. Do you still want to do it? I was like, yes, more one-on-one. And he was such a great guy. I actually ended up eating pig's brain with him.
Oh, wow. Is that a euphemism? Or
It's reality. Yes, it tastes like, imagine a soft-boiled egg in terms of the yolk. It was like a very soft, creamy texture. He was like, this is proper local Chengdu cuisine. I ticked that box, and he gave me a great tip on where to go shopping, and went to this really cool department store that had so many interesting, edgy, and very boutique-y designers. And this t-shirt is from one of those shops. I mean, it's a simple black t-shirt, but the quality, the thickness of the cotton, good prices. I loved it. It was a nice experience. But you are a fashionista, and you were given me tips on Dubai. Tell me about your Dubai shopping experiences as well, and any others that you have.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, first of all, I was admiring that t-shirt because I was like, the cut of it is so nice and it's quite unique. You could see that it's more than just a simple black t-shirt. It's quite elevated. So yeah, and I just loved all the videos that you were sending me. I was literally like, right, I'm getting on the next plane, and you were like, we're going to go to Japan. We are going to take an empty suitcase, and we are just going to shop till we drop. And I was just like, absolutely, like
We're doing that.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Honestly,
it will happen.
I need to do that. Yeah, Dubai. I enjoy. So I've been to Dubai a couple of times now, and I just love the shopping there. Yeah, I love to go to the Mina Bazaar, which is like the Indian, kind of the South Asian, I should say, area. And you can get all kinds of like gorgeous clothes there, and and the fun is that, and I don't know if you came across this as well, the bartering.
I love that.
I'm so badass at it now. I'm so good that I will just like be like, no, I'm getting up and walking away, and then I'll get the price I want.
You have to really commit. You have to walk away. They are very astute at how we play that game.
Yeah. So
you need to really commit to leaving, but in Vietnam, if you walk away, they will chase you down the street. And if you still don't want it, they will still chase, because they are hungry for that sale. And it makes you feel guilty, and it's sometimes badgered, but yeah.
Oh, wow. I also bought lots of fragrance as well. So I love going to like the Mall of Emirates. There's some great places there to kind of get some oud, because I do like oud and tobacco kind of fragrances.
Rich smells.
It's very deep and sensual, just like me.
Like this podcast.
Yes.
Special.
And I was also very lucky to go to Milan in March 2025. And the vintage there is spectacular. Like, I went to this one vintage store, and there was like pieces from like the 50s and the 60s, and they were first of all, they are tiny. Like, I wouldn't even be able to get my carve into them. They were just like that kind of narrow.
Wow.
But so beautifully constructed. The work that was on them was just amazing.
Italians.
They've got
they know what they're doing.
You know, there's this lovely one vintage place I went to, and I was talking with the sales assistant, and she was recommending all these amazing things to me, and I'd only traveled with hand luggage, and I was like, next time I'm coming here, I'm bringing a whole suitcase, because there was just so many beautiful things that I would have loved to have taken with me, but it just wouldn't have been practical. And I was like, I'm also going to make space for them in my wardrobe at home, because my wardrobe is like, out goes all, as you said, like the quality of things has changed now. Like, there's so much polyester, and there's which
plastics,
is not plastics, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But there was a time when we had like organic cotton, and the natural fabrics have sustained for a reason, whereas the others don't. So, but this is that's turning into a very fashion,
a little bit Canada Goose campaign outside.
A bit of environmental, part of our values.
Don't throw a flower on me.
Exactly. But I've also got to say how crap duty free's become.
Oh.
Like back in the day, so I feel pre-pandemic, duty free was the bomb. Like, you'd go there, you'd get your fragrances for a really good price. You'd find other stuff, and it was quite reasonable. Like, I still kick myself in 2016. I was going to buy a Gucci bag, and I remember like on the high street, it was something like 1,000 and something. And then when I went to the airport store, it was like £800, which is
without the VAT.
Without the VAT.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe, should I get this? Should I not? And the guy was like, it's the last one I've got.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know if that's a sales technique or not. And I was like, well, actually, do you know what? I won't get it. I'll get it next time. Obviously, it wasn't there next time. But yeah, it's now when you go to duty free, there's hardly anything there.
And they've inflated the price, do you think?
Prices are, it's not, it's comparable in terms of.
So you may as well buy it with the VAT or the taxes.
Yeah. I mean, I, use my Boots Advantage card now.
Boots for example, is so expensive in the airport.
Yeah. I mean, I pack, beforehand. Yeah. But like when it comes to things like makeup and stuff, you could buy it previously at duty free, and it used to be. It's only the saving is so like minimal that it's not.
Adds up.
It adds up, but it's just not what it used to be. You can get the same price on the high street, which is a shame, really, because one of the best parts of the holiday was in duty free, because at the start of your holiday, all that promise, and you're like, I don't care about my budget. I'm just going to buy whatever I want, Splurge, exactly. So yeah, that's shopping. But I think, do you know what? That kind of brings us on to the practical side of your trip.
Okay.
So let's move on to our main feature. So Sunny, when you were planning your trip, I remember how much you were kind of, that phase of it was like, as you said, it was 4 and 5 months. That was quite hectic.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us a bit more about, so once you've decided, so what we really want to kind of talk about now is like, once you've decided to take a trip like this, How do you realize?
Yeah, it's a good question. I decided in end of March of 2023 now, and I remember thinking, okay, so I need to figure out where I want to go. And a couple of people had said to me, go to, I won't name the name of the company. When you go to this travel agent, and they're very well known, they do lots of trips and organize tours and things. And I thought, okay, I'll have a chat with them. And I did go speak to them, but I explained to them the context of my trip. It's a year-long travel period, and I would like to go to various places, but I needed some inspiration. And they just started with, where do you want to go? I was like, okay, so then, I'm quite keen to do South America. I've not ever visited. There's a lot of time. I'm quite keen to see different places. It's a continent, so there's a lot to see.
Yeah.
So maybe give me some inspiration. And one of the conversations surrounded was relating to this round the world ticket that I mentioned earlier in the previous episode. So I said, okay, so then how do we build that route with the tickets? And again, the question was, you need to tell us. And I thought, well, what is the value in this exchange? And when you go through an agent, yes, there'll be someone there on hand to support, but it comes with a cost as well. And I'm one of those people that I like to do things myself because I want to have the control and the flexibility without having to rely on someone else as well. So I decided after going to that agent to just pick up a lot of their brochures and manuals of different countries and cities and festivals and things. And then I thought, okay, great, I'll just read these and kind of consume it, acquire some knowledge, get exposed to things, and then make a decision.
Yeah.
It was just one long advert after another. It was just not, these brochures were just selling things that were not usually the destination in a way that was compelling enough for me. It was more, buy this tour.
Yeah.
And yes, that's good because then you can at least kind of leave it to someone else. But it didn't feel like it gave me the insight to feel inspired. It was always something held back, and it must be some sort of marketing ploy, I suspect. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do the hard work. Let me think about what it is that I really am particularly trying to get out of the trip. And it was, I wanted to have lots of experiences in relation to nature, wanted to see lots of wildlife.
Yeah.
I wanted to, as far as possible, follow the sun.
Yeah.
So I was in spring, summer.
Spring, summer, September.
spring, summer, September.
Joggers.
What reference? Real Housewives of Atlanta, charade reference. And I thought I need to follow the sun. So it was spring by the time I decided to go away. So it was end of summer when I left the UK, August. And then I got into South America and spring had just started, and because southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
So I stayed in that period until December. So it was spring, and Antarctica it was summer. So perpetual daylight.
Yeah.
That was one of the another iconic moment where I remember just seeing the sun get low in the sky and just go back up again. And we were celebrating Christmas and New Year, and we were like, why does it feel like 5 p.m?
Yeah.
But it's 2 a.m. because the sun didn't set. It just carried on. So that was really cool to be in the Antarctic Circle at a time where you don't experience night. And that was one of the reasons why I needed to be conscious of my route because of seasonality, for one reason, and then events as well that I wanted to attend. So Day of the Dead was high on the list in Mexico, and I'm going to try and attempt to say it off the top of my head, Dia de los Muertos. So I really wanted to attend that, which is the beginning of November, end of October, kind of Halloween time for us. And I wanted to experience Holi in India. Again, I did do it as a child, but I was a massive control freak and I stayed indoors. I locked myself in my uncle's bedroom and I thought, I'm not coming out, and everyone was covered, and I thought, this time I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in Japan for the sakura, for the cherry blossom.
Yes.
And then also do my best to try and experience Asia before it got to those kind of June, July, August,
when the heat is really, really like kind
stifling.
of extreme and like unbearable.
Exactly. So it was a case of wanting to make sure I was planning my route and my trip in a way that gave me full access to the seasons, making the most of the seasons, and also ability to get quickly to the places that I needed to experience certain festivals like Day of the Dead. And it took time to plan those long haul flights to really make sure that I was making sure the connections were feasible. Depending, so when I was in Mexico, when I was planning the route, I realized I had to do South America first.
Yes.
And I'd started in North America with Kristen, just to have a couple of weeks, like I mentioned on the last episode. But I needed to be in the South because that's the best time to do the Inca Trail for the hike. It's kind of end of winter, early spring, so it's very dry, good conditions, bright, clear, not too hot as well. But then I needed to get up to Central from middle of October to get ready to attend Day of the Dead.
Yes.
But also then be out of hurricane season.
Yes.
So I needed to become a bit of not an expert, but have good knowledge and awareness of what is the times that you shouldn't be in certain places, because then that made me be very clear that actually I need to then have to be somewhere else.
Yes.
So I needed to avoid Central America during September and August because of hurricane season. And that was fine. So I did South and then I had to go back up. So there was a little bit of, there were times when I think about my whole route, it was probably a bit of zigzagging.
Yeah.
But it was intentional.
Yeah.
And it was necessary and it was the best way to do it. And even though those flights are quite long, so when I finished my South America stint in the beginning, in the first 2 months, I ended in Rio.
Yeah.
And then I did a long flight to get to Mexico City to then spend time in Mexico for the most of October, November. And then I worked my way through to Costa Rica and ending in Colombia at the end of December. So I had a month in each of those countries. And I had enough time to be able to experience it in a way that was giving me capacity to attend those events or enjoy the weather and go surfing.
It's so interesting because, like, as you were saying it, because you're so right that you have to almost become a travel expert yourself. And it was funny because at one time, I remember as a child, you always had to go to the travel agent to find out anything. If you wanted to book flights to India, for example, or you wanted to go somewhere else, the travel agents used to have the knowledge. But I think now, because like yourself, people just are able to go on their own, find out the information on their own, and actually that works out so much better. And you're so right, the travel agents generally work on commission, and it's not their fault, that's their industry,
It's a business.
and there are some people who just want to just do tours every day, all day, every day. But you're right, that's not how we would choose to experience a city. And clearly as well, like if you had done that, it would have been such a sanitized and boring experience. You probably wouldn't have got some of the insights that you are now telling us about. So it's interesting as well, there were some tours and things that you did go on. So I wanted to ask you about kind of travel, because obviously traveling solo, we're both big advocates of that. We love traveling solo. But what do you think about traveling solo as opposed to traveling in a group when it comes to doing like a world tour?
So I think I'd never done group travel in the past with people I didn't know. So done holidays with groups of friends, and it was a different context, like going to Ibiza or like Spain, like all those sorts of trips are different, or going with a friend to a particular destination. So to do an organized group tour, it was very much, I felt like I'd already aged out of it. Like it was it's not suitable for me. But when I was speaking to people about my plans to take a year out, they said, you should go onto XYZ companies' websites. They do small group tours, and it's like in the region of maybe 16 or maybe 12 to 16 people on the tours. And I thought, this seems a bit, but it made me think back to, remember that show on, was it Channel 4, Coach Trip?
Yes. Oh my God, I love Coach Trip.
I used to love, I don't know if it's still on, but I remember watching it when I was a kid thinking, gosh, this is so lame. But it was brilliant. But I was like, I couldn't do it. It was very much, it felt like a retiree kind of trip. And I assumed that, I've learned you have to open your mind up. I was not open-minded enough. And it was the same with cruises. I just thought it was like a certain type of person. It doesn't matter the age. It's more like what is the spirit of that style of travel.
Yes.
And I just assumed it wasn't for me. So that is definitely something that, again, another thing I learned is be curious and open-minded about what the options are, and don't go with your preconceived ideas, because that will kind of shut you off from things that are actually really helpful and beneficial. So I did a combination throughout my year, and there are people that I know that had done extended travel using just tours, and that works for them. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm like a mixture of both, and I would probably lean towards solo travel in terms of a preference. So I did probably 60-40. 60% of it solo, independent, but completely independently planned. So doing my own research or doing group tours and organized tours. So there's some places you have to do organized tours. So when I did the Inca Trail, you'd have to be a part of a group.
Yeah.
We did that as part of an extended tour, which I did from starting in Lima all the way to Brazil and Rio. So being able to be with a group and also do other activities like the hike, the Inca Trail, so with the Chichamaradas girls and also the Salt Flats, that was great because it ticked off, and I say ticked off, but you got the opportunity to do all these iconic experiences with some of the same people, and it really built my confidence as well because it was the start of my trip and I thought, I've just come out of a really intense period. I've got a lot to plan. I had to sort lots of things out from an administrative perspective at home. I wanted to not be on tracks, but I just wanted someone else to be responsible and give me some confidence. And it taught me how to navigate because we still took a lot of public transport to get between long distances sometimes because it's obviously a very vast continent. So I learned actually it's very easy to get the coaches between different cities. And in Mexico, I used coaches the whole way through to get through all the cities. I think I did probably 10 or 11 cities, and I didn't feel intimidated by that. There were times where I felt that some of the stations looked a little sketchy and intimidating, but I knew what to do. I knew how to get places, and you just get into those situations where you learn. Actually, I've taken something really good as a training exercise from my organized tours to be able to implement that for my solo kind of trips as well. So the benefit of doing solo is you have complete freedom. And you are never even alone in those moments either. You can book onto day tours. A lot of big cities, I would do some sort of free walking tour, the tip-based tours, or I would sign up to some excursion. So I learned how to scuba dive in the Great Barrier Reef. So I had to do a liveaboard experience there and was on a ship, did some training in poolside before going on to stay on a ship to do the dives every day. And those sorts of things are not necessarily organized travel, but they're experiences that will connect you with people. So you are, again, you're never alone. And the other thing I haven't mentioned at all at any point is hostels.
Yeah.
I was very much I'm not doing hostels. But no, not me.
Sharing a bathroom, yeah.
And then I learned, actually, a few people had said to me, no, you can get hostels with your own room, your own bathroom, and it's flexible. And to be honest, there were not many occasions I shared. I think in Costa Rica, I did share rooms and like dorms. And in those situations, it was fun. It was so expensive. I was shocked. Costa Rica is not a backpacking destination. I think everyone that I met there were like, wow, this place is pricey. It's a very popular destination for Americans. It's like very jungly. So it's like a nice tropical place to visit for them. And I think it drives the price up. Right. So very iconic places and memories in terms of the wildlife. I got to see, I believe I saw sloths there, the first, which was very, very cute. And so I also went to the Cloud Forest, but I remember during that time I did stay in dorms, but the rest of the trips I would typically stay in a hostel where I had my own room because it would be just nice to have your own space. Maybe I shared a bathroom, but that didn't really faze me. And, you learn that when you're moving so often and you're changing hotels so regularly, it's a bed. You want to be safe, but I can sleep anywhere. I remember sleeping on one horrendous journey. Apparently, everyone told me that when I woke up 10 hours later, I think we were moving between Bolivia and Chile, and it was like I remember being shaken to be woken up, and people were like, oh my God, we've slept through, and everyone's off the bus. And I was like, what happened? And everyone looked completely disheveled, their hair was all over the place, and they looked stressed and panicked. And I was like, what happened? And they were like, that journey was awful. And I was like, I slept through the whole thing because the coaches, they had full flat beds.
Oh, nice.
I was out cold.
So
there's times where actually you are traveling and also sleeping as well. So I think solo and group it's good to do a mixture and maybe push yourself to do those group tours because you'll meet so many. I know it's a tagline for advertising, but you'll meet so many like-minded people.
Yes.
And you're not with them forever. So if it doesn't work out, you'll do something
Adios, else. See you later. Exactly. Oh, wow, that's so amazing. So, do you know what? It sounds like you've built up like a lot of kind of reserves and skills, like like you were saying that you'd go to like a sketchy bus stop or something and be like, oh, is this where has the last bus gone yet, that kind of thing. But you're right, you do build up that resilience, and then it's interesting as well when you were saying that. I remember my younger brother, who's traveled a lot, he was when we were younger, he used to get car sick a lot, and then he would be the one saying, I've got an 18-hour bus journey. And he's fine with that now.
Wow.
Like he could do it. So like
growth,
and it kind of builds up. So like thinking from that to like your toolkit, if you like, the kind of hacks that you, so maybe some that you knew in advance and some that you've learned. What would you say they are?
So I think I got used to, when I'd navigate a new place, just going through I'd say a bit of a process. So before I got to a destination, you'd need to obviously, so a lot of the time I had a flight to get me to a region, like I mentioned with this round the world ticket, and then I needed to make sure I had flights to get out of that country I'd arrived in, because for immigration purposes you need to, we're lucky, we're British, we can swan into most places without a visa. And a lot of people I met along the route couldn't do that. So on that big long tour I did around South America, I didn't need a single visa the whole time. And some of the girls from Oz, they had to get one, I believe, for Chile or one of the countries. There was a couple where they needed to have their own visas for those places. And that is easy for Brits because we can, I think throughout the whole year, and I went to probably nearly 25, 30 countries, I needed a visa for probably India was one that stuck out as a process, all online though, so that was good, e-visa. There was China, which I had to do in person at the embassy. I did that in Hong Kong. That was quite an involved process as well, but manageable. And then the other one was New Zealand, where it's like a visa waiver program.
Yeah.
So usually I would go onto the government website and just check what are the immigration requirements. And there's a very funny anecdote, which you probably know of. I think I mentioned on the first episode, turning up to go to the US once, and I didn't have an ESTA.
Oh my God.
I didn't know it existed. It was not something that I had any idea of. So I remember thinking, I've got to make sure I don't get into that situation this time. And most of the place, by the time I got to New Zealand, which was like 5-6 months in, I was like thinking, oh, it's fine. And I was in the US, I was in Houston, and I went to the Space Center, and I was like, that's the next place on my destination. I'm going to space, y'all.
I can't remember what you sent me this voice note. I need to find it, but you sent me one from the Space Center. I can't remember what you said. Was it that you'd gone to see Tina Knowles as well? You'd popped in for a cup of tea or something. I can't remember.
I was trying to do my southern accent.
Yeah, that was it. It was your southern accent. It was just so fun. Like, because I have to say that throughout, it's so interesting because as you're talking about this, I'm remembering the voice notes that you sent me, and they really did capture the flavor of where you were at the time. And it's just
I should save those as well, actually, shouldn't I?
They
it's
are
like
so
a little
fun.
diary moment.
They're like moments of history, honestly. But it also sounds like as well, I think that the Esther story actually brings up a good point, how it shows the evolvement where, first you were just like, oh, I've got a British passport, I can just go anywhere I want. Whereas now when you're planning this trip, you're so right, you should check on the Gov UK website, look at the travel advisories and all those kind of things, and it just kind of gets you into that kind of way of thinking. So thinking of like mindset as well, how would you say your like mindset has like really progressed since?
Or helped me.
Yeah.
Even.
So if you think about your mindset in that run up to the before you left, and then during the trip, and now.
I think a great question. I suppose I've always seen myself as quite resilient in relation particularly to practical matters. That's probably why I'm quite relaxed when I'm in that situation of you don't have this was like when I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
You don't have an ESTA. You go into the US. It was manageable. You just go online, you fill it in. You don't want to be in that situation again necessarily, but you learn how to deal with those situations. I'm not going to catastrophize. If all else fails, which is it's not always practical to have this attitude. You don't want to waste money by having to buy another flight if you can't travel. I totally recognize that, but you have to put things into perspective.
Yeah.
And I've always had that kind of mentality for practical things. Maybe emotional things are harder for me to deal with. But I've always had that mindset, and I went into it thinking, if let's say I'm in a situation where you know, I heard lots of horror stories about people traveling and getting robbed, or maybe, you know, there's one memory that sticks out. My friend was traveling in China when she was in her early 20s, and she just, it's quite intimidating traveling in China because there's not a lot of English in terms of signage and, you know, language barriers when you're speaking to people. And so I knew I'd get into situations at times where I'm in a place where they're not English speaking. And yes, we're very lucky again that we can speak English and we can go to most places and people will be able to converse with us. We're also lucky because we have things like Google Translate. And even if that doesn't work because of blocks, because of Google in certain parts of Asia, VPNs, there's other apps you can use. So having that kind of mindset that there'll be another way. You don't need to feel like everything is completely within your control, because that would take the fun out of it. Because I spoke to another friend that was like, so where are you going? What are you doing? I want to know. I'm going to join you here and there. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not possible to plan an entire year unless you do back-to-back tours, which I didn't want to do. And I wanted to have the flexibility to say I want to stay somewhere and spend more time there. I enjoyed the surfing. I stayed there a little bit longer. And in Japan, I was like, actually, I thought I'd spend 2 weeks there. I spent nearly 5. So I wanted that flexibility, and you can't have that if you're super rigid. It's a different trip. You can do that, I'm sure. But I don't want to deal with situations where, let's say, for some reason, out of your control, you miss a flight. Then all the cards are going to fall down. So you've got no flexibility. There are certain things you have to do when you're entering a country. You usually need to prove your exit, have that flight booked. I'd learned that lesson in the past as well. But I guess what? I booked it and it was sorted, not on this trip. So it was almost those sorts of things you will learn from those kind of potential mistakes. It's that's the mindset I took, is you'll find a way, and that's just, I think that's who I am as a person generally as well. But it helps to kind of bring that attitude into your travel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that how you said that. It's kind of this keeping that spontaneity and letting it surprise you. And sometimes the surprises aren't going to be very pleasant in terms of, like, you know, you miss a flight or you missed a connection or something, but that doesn't mean that it's the end of the game. It's like, you know, you then pick yourself up and you move on and you learn from it. And
you reminded me of something. There was one situation where I felt that when you say pick yourself up again, I remember I was in Colombia where I met some great people. They're such party animals, like fantastic coffee. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I had some fantastic coffee there. I went to a plantation and learned a lot about how they cultivate it. But on the way back from one of the cities, I was traveling with someone else, and I had my guard down. I think I was pretty confident I was with someone else traveling from the airport. And we made a mistake of taking a taxi from someone who approached us in the airport. And they seemed very official, and I was ready to book an Uber. And I just, there was something in me that was people pleasing, and I thought, I don't want to say no to this person. And the other guy I was traveling with, a Dutch guy, I was like, he's a tall guy, he'll protect me if I need it. And he felt confident with it, but he just started his travels, and I was already 4 or 5 months in, could deal better with Spanish as well. We made a mistake because we ended up getting robbed. Have I not told you this?
No, I didn't know this.
So it's what's called an express kidnapping, which was quite intimidating.
Oh my God! And you didn't mention this.
I think at the time I just had to dig deep and be like, okay, we're in this situation. They were, trying to sell us, drugs and women and alcohol. I was like, none of the above, please. It's like, you've got me all wrong.
Yeah.
And so the guy I was with, he was like messaging me on WhatsApp saying, oh my God, are we safe? I was like, we'll be fine. We'll just have to probably give them our money.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember watching on Google Maps where the cab was taking us, and he was driving us down some really lonely, intimidating streets. And I remember thinking, ultimately, we are not in control in this situation. All we can control is our reaction to the moment. And the guy I was with, he was intimidated. I understand that. And I had to just find a way to think, we're going to be okay. And then eventually they took us to our location, but we had to pay like an extortionate amount for that journey.
Yeah.
And I remember after that happened, we ended up staying. So we were staying at 2 different chains of this hotel that's throughout South America. And I remember he was like, "Oh, do you want to get out with me now?" I was like, "Absolutely! I'm not going to do the rest of the 5 minutes with these two that just robbed us." And then we, it was a longer story, but in the end, we ended up staying up. All of it bumped into some friends that he knew from back in the Netherlands. Had a great time. It ended up being a fun story, but the next day I had to just hit a reset button on that experience, and he ended up deciding to move to another city. He just didn't want to. He didn't feel confident and safe, and I still had an amazing experience. That could have happened anywhere. Going into an unlicensed car, it's just an obvious don't do it.
Yeah.
And that was the first time where I let my guard down because I thought, oh, I'm with someone else. I'm safe. Still keep that guard up. And it was right at the end of my trip in South America. And it was inevitable that something could have happened at any point.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get into an unmarked car in the UK.
Yeah.
So why would you do it in South America? So
or anywhere.
Anyway. So or India or anywhere. Like it doesn't matter. So I didn't treat it as now I hate this place, because lots of people write places off. But when I went onto the government website, also read through the security and safety section. They teach you about these sorts of things. And instance, the exact same thing that happened to us was documented on there. And you can psych yourself out and maybe talk yourself out of going to certain places because of those things. I don't think you can stop yourself having experiences by worrying about every eventuality. There's things that, phones are constantly stolen in London when you're walking around the city. I wouldn't say to people not to visit for that reason. So that was a good learning point in terms of showing actually you just have to pick yourself up in that moment the next day and just carry on.
And just move forward, exactly. It's interesting because remember I told you my Malaga story where I had almost that similar experience.
Yes.
And so I understand, and you're so right that in that moment when you're quite vulnerable, and also because we as men, we don't experience
totally,
not to speak for women, but that's something that women experience on a daily basis.
So unfair.
Which is massively unfair. And, in that moment, all you can do is control your reaction. Like, in hindsight, people might say to you, oh, you could have done this and you could have done that. It's like, no, but when you're in that moment.
We're in it now.
Yeah, you're in it.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Exactly. Oh, isn't that Beverly Knight?
Is that what he was?
He's got a song called,
remember her little short candy style.
I think she's from Wolverhampton.
Birmingham, maybe.
Birmingham. Oh,
I love Beverly.
Well, I wanted to ask you as well. This is like a question that I've kind of been but I've been thinking about actually, is how do you pack for a year away?
Good question, because I remember, so one of my things in the toolkit was watching a lot of other YouTubers and, getting insight into how people were traveling, not necessarily for a year, because those sorts of videos, I don't think they really exist. But they may. But I remember watching one where someone was doing an extended period of travel, like some sort of gap year kind of experience. And there was this girl, she was like, there's such a sweet, like practical tips on what to take. And she had packed all these tiny little like noodle strap tops. And I was like, why am I watching her explain to me what to take? I think we're probably packing different things. And it felt like, okay, I need to make sure I've got like this kind of thing for, really warm places. I was going to Antarctica partway through, so I knew I had to have certain things because when you make landings onto the actual peninsula, you have to have waterproof trousers to board. And that was the only requirement. They give you the boots and the other gear and they give you a big jacket. But there were things like that. I wanted to take like proper ski gloves with me there as well. It was summer, so it was actually not that cold, believe it or not, even in Antarctica. But there were certain things I needed to have with me, hiking boots. The other stuff, I would genuinely say to people, again, it's a luxury. Have the freedom and flexibility to accept you're going to have to buy things or get rid of things and donate them, because my hiking boots were not good enough. At the beginning, I had some that were very stylish and people were like, on the Inca Trail, they're so nice. Where did you get those from? I was like, they're not a brand. They're not like a good brand. They just look good, but they were slippy, so it wasn't safe. So when I got to Mexico City, there was like the most impressive mall I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of Dubai malls and Singapore. This is the best mall I've ever been to. It was so slick, and they had all the brands. I went to Solomon. I was like, let me get some good hiking boots. So I bought some, and they stayed with me as well throughout the rest of the trip. So you always know you can get, if someone gave me some advice in Costa Rica, there's some rule, I'm going to call it the 2020 rule. I don't think it is that, but as the concept is, if it costs less than $20 or pounds and you can get it within 20 kilometers, then and you don't need it right now, get rid of it.
Yeah.
You will be able to get it in most places, those sorts of things. So I took from that, like, I just need to let go of this t-shirt that's not serving me, or I'm not liking it, it's too thick. Like, this wouldn't have worked in the certain places when I was traveling. So I accepted that I needed to buy things.
Yeah.
And when you're traveling for a year, you can't always expect everything to last super well and be fit for all of those environments. But there were certain staples I needed. So I had my tablet with me for like entertainment, journeys, planning, and also had obviously spare cards, for like if you thankfully when we were express kidnapped and that car, they only took the cash. But having a spare phone is also useful if you can afford to travel and pack with that, just so if you're in the event that you lose your main device, you've got backup options as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because I think what I'm hearing as well is like, it's just kind of finding that balance between comfort, style, practicality. There's a lot of things to consider. And also, you're so right as well, because it's interesting what you're saying about that, the noodle string tops. And so I know exactly what you mean. Whereas for like, for example, I have a size 11 feet, so I can only take 2 pairs of shoes, and that's half the suitcase.
It's done.
Taken up, So it's mad. So anyway, I think we we could talk about your travel for quite a long, for many more episodes. But I believe there's something in the works. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
There is, and I just kind of hinted at it when I said when I was doing my research, I would listen to a lot of YouTubers in different countries, profiling different cities, countries, experiences, and I thought, well, there's nothing like that for a year of travel that I found, particularly an continuous travel. So I thought, actually, I want to find a way to share all of this really useful knowledge. And I've given a bit of a taster, I'd say, today in the first 2 episodes. But I've just scratched the surface. There's so many things that I learned in terms of how to navigate, particularly localized and regionalized knowledge. So a lot of people would find, I agree, China can be difficult in terms of navigating, but actually it's very straightforward once you know how. And I think it took me a day or 2, but I was there for 30 days. My visa gave me, I stayed till the last day. So there's all these sorts of tips that I also want to share, but also I want to document it in a way that gives me the capacity to look back at it in a way that's kind of more collated, because at the moment I've just got all these wonderful memories that just come to me at different points in time, but to be able to share that through socials, I think that would be great. So you've been a great inspiration on this, obviously with Fashion Friday, 10 years under your belt this year. So I'm going to do a combination of short videos and then also extended longer form videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so it'll be not just practical elements, but also showcasing some of the highlights of my trip as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. This sounds really good. And I know that you've got, from seeing, I keep smacking the microphone there. I need to be careful. Yes. I know from some of the videos and images that you sent me, you've got some incredible footage, and like you were not playing, like you were shooting on like 8K or something like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like these were like, I felt like I was there. So I think this is going to be fantastic. And like, we have to like let our Zone 1 hosts know, like,
exactly,
like as it happens.
Yeah, because I had a lot of people come approaching me. There was a really good app that people were using throughout travel called Photo Circle and Polar Steps. So have you heard of? Yeah. I heard of them very early on in my trip in 23 and thinking, and Photo Circle, it's really practical, good for groups because you just upload rather than flooding a WhatsApp. But right in the beginning, I was like too in the moment, but I was taking all the pictures. I'm good at taking photos, as you know. Good at framing, and my camera's good. And people were always like, oh my God, send your photos. And I was like, didn't do it. And the Chichamaradas are still waiting for those South America pictures. I'm sorry.
You're just like, the paywall is not.
Exactly. But I got to the point where then I've got lots of photo circles now, but I've got lots of footage. And yeah, they really do in some ways capture moments that I think are really quite small, but really profound as well, that I just need to find a way to share. So that'll be definitely a big part of my showcasing online.
Well, I'm so excited to see that. And yeah, we were going to let everybody know when that is the case. So I think now, well, obviously the OnlyFans lounge is still being renovated.
It is.
So
We need them to open it up.
We need them to lounge. But speaking of lounges, so when you were on your trips, this is something that we've kind of spoken about in the past as well. Airport hotties.
Wow.
So do you want to tell me a bit about airport hotties?
Talking of voice notes, remember that one voice note I said? We need to remember where I was. It would have been, I believe, November time. So possibly moving from Mexico, perhaps to Costa Rica, or maybe from Costa Rica to Colombia. And I remember being in an airport, and this guy had this really nice hard shell silver suitcase. I'm sure it's some popular brand. And it was like quite a big one, and it was like just really stylish and new. And I thought, oh, okay, I like how he kept good care of his luggage. And then he's walking in this really nicely fitted kind of black, I'd say joggers, but they were quite fitted in a way and quite embellished with like big pockets, and it had like a very nice texture. You had a fantastic frame, really tight fitting black t-shirt. Whoops, I'm getting so excited.
So if you're listening, basically what it is, if you're watching on video, you'll see that our hands fly everywhere when we talk. So we are whacking this microphone left, right, and center.
Had this really nice black fitted t-shirt on, had a really nice little tight black beanie and some shades on, and then on his luggage he had this little, it was his other half's like handbag. And I just thought, oh, what a waste. And I was just like thinking, God, just rolling my eyes, but like loving his style. Had these really nice big boots on as well. That outfit was like 10 out of 10. I thought, what an airport look. You would have co-signed it, and I voice noted you at the time.
You told me straight away.
And then he checked in, but then he just left, and then he went on his day, and I was like, that was his bag.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh my God, are these little handbags, man bags, now that close to resembling an actual handbag? And that's great. I love that. It was just, and then I saw it again in China quite a lot. A lot of guys had these very cute little clutch kind of handbags, and they were beautiful. But I'll let you tell me what you think it was, and I think you found what handbag it was.
It was a Bottega cassette bag. Yeah, I remember I just sent you all these pictures, and I was just like, yeah. And Jacob Lordy is like using bags, and I've got these bags, and and like we're going to get you a bag as well because
totally
it has to be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like when you see an airport hottie, and like again, it's that whole kind of excitement and promise at the start of a trip or wherever it's an airport. I think there's something about an airport. But obviously we'll be talking about this more on our OnlyFans podcast.
Exactly. You need to subscribe.
Yeah, and the password hunt continues, doesn't it?
Where are those hackers when you need them?
I know. If they want to get in touch, then they can. There's ways to do that. But so Sandy, thank you so much for talking about the travels, and that was 80 Hayes.
That was 80 Hayes. Thanks for giving me the platform, our platform.
Our platform, exactly. And I think the last thing to say is that the podcast is mine.
No, it's mine.